probably Rurikon's favorite media outlet. I know that he's very close with people at Kotaku.
Oh, yeah.
And he really cares about Kotaku.
Yes.
Kotaku is down from 7 journalists to just 4. With, most notably, Alyssa Mercante. I don't even know how you pronounce her surname. She has announced that she is leaving Kotaku.
You know what Mercante means, by the way?
No idea.
Merchant.
Well, she is a shit merchant, so why not?
But it's like I'm not a big fan of her. I don't think that she's a particularly good reporter. All she does is just generate controversy clicks. That's pretty much it. Which basically she thrives in dividing the gaming community. And that's one of the things that I'm against. I don't want to divide the gaming community. Quite the opposite. I want as many people as possible to unite under the banner of gaming and enjoy video games. That's the way that I look at it. Yeah. And so she does the exact opposite of what I like to do. So, you know, I'm not going to shed a tear over the fact that she's not working at Kotaku anymore. So whatever.
I will say,
and here's the thing.
Been rumors.
Here's the thing. Even beyond the fact that her big thing is just controversy clicks and all of that, I don't think that even if you take that away, I just don't think that she's a good reporter based on her Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree review when she was referring to one of the crucial things of that DLC being the big fucking tree. That's like one of the most important things about that DLC. I didn't really think it was appropriate, the fact that she couldn't even identify the fucking tree properly, and she was referring to a completely different tree that is not even in the DLC. But, I just don't think she's very good at doing her job. Let's put it like that. At analyzing video games, which is just you don't have to be good at video games. You have to be good at least analyzing video games, and she's not even good at that. So.
Yeah. I mean,
you remember
from my perspective,
remember when we talked about meritocracy? There you go.
Well, I will say, I don't even care about Alyssa, because I think Alyssa is a deeply disturbed individual. That the sooner she gets out of the gaming industry, the better.
Yep.
I care more about Kotaku. And I don't mean care as in I'm really devastated at the fact that they're basically probably not going to be around for a long time. It shouldn't come as a shock or a surprise to anyone that legacy media has been struggling, specifically the gaming industries. They've been struggling for a long time, and the better YouTubers get, the more they start to struggle. Nowadays, let's be honest, guys, how many of you actually went to the mainstream media to find out, what was the newest beta for Monster Hunter Wilds like, over going to Rurikon to hear what he has to say? Because I don't get any of my news from them. I get my news from other YouTubers.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of times they are still able to break news, and that is my concern. I feel like a lot of times we still end up going up to traditional media to see whether that is interviews, whether that is, like even sometimes Monster Hunter News, I still get some information out of like IGN because they get more access to interviewing developers and stuff like that. And so they end up getting a little bit more nuance. Some of the information that came from Monster Hunter Wilds before the latest beta actually came from an Italian outlet that also did like some interview, and they got more information. It's like, I don't think... I feel like sometimes when I'm talking to you, you're like, oh, I'm at war with legacy media and fuck them. I want them all gone. And I'm kind of like,
I am,
see, that's the thing. I'm not of that same opinion. I'm like, I want them to continue existing because they provide sometimes valuable articles that I get to go and I get to read, and I'll be like, okay, now I'm going to give my own take on this news that they just broke. And that is usually interesting content to make. So I think that there's a synergy to be had between new media and old media. The problem in my eyes is that for some strange reason, they are constantly going to war with YouTube, because you constantly see articles of them like, they'll pick the worst possible fucking YouTuber that does something bad, and they will just like overgeneralize and be like, YouTubers are fucking scum. That's kind of like how it goes. Like even recently we had some article about this. I forget what game it was about. I think it might have been Dragon Age Veilguard. but it was somebody just saying that like, oh, these fucking YouTubers, look at all these hate campaigns and all this bullshit. And I was like, what the fuck, bro? It's like, I'm not sitting over here hating on mainstream media unless you guys write something dumb, and then I'll criticize that specific article that you guys fucking wrote that was stupid. That's it. You guys are coming out here, you'll find like one or two YouTubers and then just like, the entirety of the YouTube sphere fucking sucks. And it's like, no, what do you mean?
But you see,
and I don't want them gone. I want everybody to say what they have to say. That's fine. You want to criticize me? That's cool, man.
You see, the reason they have to die, and they're exposed by Star Wars Outlaws, and they're exposed by Dragon Age the Veilguard. They gave these games 7 out of 10s, 8 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s. I don't care how much you like Dragon Age the Veilguard. No human being in the right mind is going to give that game a 10 out of 10.
And this is
0% chance of
And this
that.
is why I don't give a fuck about game scores. I don't care.
Yeah, but you see, this is the problem. If they're willing to lie about that, how much else are they lying about? How much else is coming out of their news organization?
Wait.
Because
What do you mean they're lying about that? They can genuinely believe it.
No, I don't think they do.
Okay.
Because IGN will time and time again give a 7 or an 8 out of 10 to games that don't even sell. So unless IGN employs a bunch of, I can't say the R word, morons, right, to review these games, and these morons have never played a game in their lives, and they just go, well, this is a brilliant game. I actually stuck around for 20 hours at the office playing this game. That must be an 8 out of 10. Unless that is what they're doing, which doesn't make it better. It makes it just as bad because it means there's no quality control whatsoever.
I'm just saying that might be the case. What I'm saying is like, I'm not going to assume that everybody is lying. I'm just going to assume that some people genuinely believe that Dragon Age Veilguard is a 10 out of 10. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. If that's what they want to say.
No person in the right mind can do that.
I mean, look, I don't care. If they like it and they want to give it a 10 out of 10, that is fine. But here's the thing. They're not immune to criticism.
You should be locked up in an insane asylum if you gave Dragon Age the Veilguard 10 out of 10, bro.
I got a lot of shit for saying that I really like Dragon's Dogma 2. And a lot of people think that I'm just saying that
it's a cool game.
Yeah, but a lot of people, see, that's the thing. A lot of people have this belief that I'm only saying that I like Dragon's Dogma 2 because I like Capcom. I usually like Capcom games. So a lot of people are just like, oh, you're only saying that you liked it because you like Capcom games. It's like, no, I like Dragon's Dogma 2. I can acknowledge it's not a perfect game. I can acknowledge that it needed more monsters and a little bit more content and all of this. Yes, I still fucking loved Dragon's Dogma 2. That's not going to change. So that's why I'm telling you, I believe that there are people out there that genuinely will believe that Veilguard is a 10 out of 10. And I'm not saying Dragon's Dogma 2 is a 10 out of 10. I don't rate games. I don't care. I just either like them or I don't. But if they believe it's a 10 out of 10, that's fine, but they're not immune from criticism. The same way that people come after me and they will criticize me for liking Dragon's Dogma 2, that's fine. You can criticize me. You can say you're wrong, whatever. That's fine, but I'm still going to say what I have to say, and I want them to be able to say what they have to say. So if somebody wants to say
I don't mind.
This is a 10 out of 10, that's fine, but you're not immune from me criticizing it. I'm like, that's a 10 out of 10.
Dude, they want to start their own YouTube channels. They want to start their own Substacks, and they want to write their drivel and make their stupid videos. Go for it. But legacy media, the mainstream media, needs to die.
No.
Now,
I don't agree.
Is there a world in which I can allow people like Jason Schreier to exist? Because he does.
You can allow him to exist.
Yeah. Is
you live because I allow it, sir.
Yeah. No, but you get what I mean, right? Is there a world in which I can accept someone like Jason Schreier still writing articles? Yes. Because at least he does exposés, right? So he does investigative journalism, and he reveals a bunch of really bad crap that sometimes goes on within the gaming industry. But then he also has a bunch of really shit takes outside of that.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, well, actually, you just do your exposés and shut the fuck up about the rest of the gaming industry for the rest of the time.
I think he's entitled
just talk about your exposé stuff.
Let him say.
I'll tell you why this is such a problem.
Let them say whatever they want to say.
No. Let me explain to you why this is such a problem for me. executive suits that work at the AAA industries, right? At the games. Do you think they watch YouTubers?
No.
Do you think they follow Twitter?
No.
They read the mainstream media. So they read what IGN and Kotaku and these guys say.
So now let me counterpoint. Do you think that Sven Vinke watches mostly mainstream media?
I think he reads the articles there.
Yes, but is that his only source of information?
No, but you're talking about one guy. We're not talking about.
Do you think Miyazaki cares more about mainstream media?
Yeah, but hold up again.
I can keep going.
No, but you're just highlighting. First and foremost, you're highlighting Eastern developers, which we already have established.
Sven Vinke is not an Eastern developer.
No. The other developers you're going to name is pretty much going to come from the East. Yeah, they are. So let's not pretend like you have a bag of Western developers here just waiting to fucking go. You had Spain and then Asia, right? So let's not go.
What about the guy who made Warhammer, though? That guy's pretty chill, too.
The guy from Saber Interactive.
He's pretty based.
Yeah, but again, you're not talking about AAA there, right?
Yeah,
Saber is linked to Sony and to is it even Sony? They're linked to some of the big ones, but they're not. They're smaller studios.
I can probably get some Western studios, like the people behind Wayfinder, the people behind Remnant 2. I can get a couple more in there.
But these are all
double
what
A.
we could maybe at the max AA, right? Yeah. We can't AAA them. The AAA studios, and I think people misunderstand why this is such a big deal for me, because someone will be like, dude, if you don't like it, don't play it. Why does this matter to you? Because a lot of these AAA developers sit on really good IPs. They sit on IPs that could become really good games. I want to play the next Mass Effect. I want to play the next Assassin's Creed. I want to play the next Star Wars game. I want to play these games. The problem is they keep ruining them. And the reason they keep ruining them is you have all of the mainstream media giving Dragon Age the Veilguard 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, and 10 out of 10. All of them. The lowest one was some weird publication in Europe that gave him a 3 out of 5, which is still a 7 out of 10.
I think didn't Eurogamer give him a 6 out of 10? I think there was something like that. Somebody gave
I don't think so.
Score.
You can go check. But as far as I know, the lowest they got was 7 out of 10. So my problem with this is these developers, these studio executives, the ones that are actually meant to make the decisions, they are completely in the dark as to why their games keep failing, because they see the ratings from these arbiters of truth. Because remember, the whole point of the media is they're supposed to bring you the truth. They're supposed to be agents of truth so that people can know what the hell is actually going on. So when Jason Schreier writes an expose, it reveals to the public the stuff that is going on behind the scenes that the public would otherwise not know about. But it does go in reverse, because it also reveals when they give their ratings and their reviews, we already know that a lot of the executives, their bonuses are tied to good review scores. So now we have these guys giving out 9s out of 10s and 10 out of 10s for a game that is so obviously flawed. And we know it's obviously flawed because before the game came out, IGN and PC Gamer was telling everyone how good this game is. This is BioWare's return to form, and this is like the greatest RPG that's ever come out, and the writing is so good and so forward-thinking, and it's a 9 out of 10, it's a 10 out of 10. And then the game came out, and less than a week after the game launched, the first PC Gamer article comes out, and it says, Dragon Age the Veilguard is a good game, but... And now they start listing all of the issues.
But in there, huh? Interesting.
Now they start listing all of... And this is not the first time they've done this, by the way. Go look over the last 2 or 3 years, all of these games that they go on their knees for and smile like donuts until the game comes out. And then suddenly they go, well, now that everyone can play the game, we should probably start being a little bit more honest and actually say what we think. So it keeps creating this really bad feedback loop where our developers, the executives that are supposed to make these big decisions, they don't actually know that their games suck because the media keeps pretending that the games don't. Obviously, because there are a lot of incentives there. If you want to keep getting invited to all of the special weekends, you don't give a 2 out of 10 review. If you want to keep getting invited and keep getting all of the keys, you don't give a 2 out of 10 review. If you want to keep getting advertisements on your website, you don't give a 2 out of 10 review. So it's sort of like you've set up the tools of your own demise. And with it, you're taking the gaming industry.
The thing,
at least the Western AAA gaming industry.
The thing is, I don't always agree with that take because sometimes people take that a little bit too far. But there have been instances in the past that I know that that stuff has happened specifically in mainstream media. But like when it comes to the YouTube side of things, I haven't seen it as much. And if anybody tries to do it to me, I'm just like, no, you blacklist me.
Yeah, but there is
fucking blacklist.
Remember, there is. So here's the thing, right? It's not just if it was just blacklisting, they probably wouldn't care. But there's guaranteed the financial departments at Kotaku will not allow a Kotaku journalist to write Star Wars Outlaws is the shittiest game I've ever seen 0 out of 10. They would never fucking allow that because Ubisoft will then just say, you're not getting any advertisement money from us.
I don't think that Ubisoft can afford to advertise anyway. So.
Yeah, so maybe they'll finally be honest about it.
But yeah, what I wanted to say with that stuff is that yes, we have seen stuff like this sometimes happen in the industry. Even there was a situation with the second game from Shadow of Mordor. I think it was called Shadow of War, whatever the fuck it was. It had some very specific guidelines for YouTubers that were instantly leaked, and people were like, wait, what the fuck is this? And it was like very much some really shady shit. So this is stuff that I have seen happen in the industry, but I also think that often people see things where there isn't stuff like people, because that's the problem with this happening once or twice, is that then people think that this is what's happening all of the time. Like any time that I'll put out a positive impressions on a video game that some person happened to not like, they'll be like, how much did you get paid for this? How much did they pay you to say this? And it's like, it's illegal to get paid and not disclose it. And I could just lose my channel. If you think I'm going to risk that, number one, if I was going to do some shady shit, it'd be with Raid Shadow Legends for all the fucking money they've offered me, which I've never taken, and it's usually so fucking much. I could have been making bank if I was throw money like around. Let me tell you, if I was going to scam you guys, it would be with Raid Shadow Legends money. They're the ones who got the fucking big bucks. But the point is, people nowadays, they just instantly assume the worst. And I understand why, but that's why I'm very careful whenever we're talking about this topic, that we need to make sure that we don't over-exaggerate things that actually happen. So like I said, I have seen it happen in the industry in the past. Like Jeff Gerstmann talked about this when he used to work at GameStop or whatever. He reviewed some game. I forget what game it was, but I remember because I would listen to the Giant Bombcast. I haven't listened since Jeff Gerstmann left, but whatever. I would listen to the Bombcast all the time. And I remember him telling the story that he did like a review for some video game. I forget if it was it Kane and Lynch? I don't know, but it was a video game that he reviewed, and he was like, yep, this is fucking 6 out of 10, whatever. And apparently that publisher had paid like a buttload for ads. And so like his senior editor or whatever came down and was like, I need you're going to have to look at this review again. And he's like, what? No, fuck that. That's my score. And he's like, no, you need to look at that again. And I think I don't remember if he got fired, if he got reprimanded, but like there was some consequence and they got somebody else to do the review.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah. This is literally what I'm telling you.
So this happens, but it doesn't happen as often as people think, in my opinion.
No, but this is where I actually disagree with you. I think in the mainstream media, because remember, from the mainstream media, there is an iron curtain, right? There's like, we don't know exactly what's going on in the background. Most of these journalists are completely unknowns. Like, look, very few people even look at we YouTubers tend to look at who writes the articles, because you sort of start to get a bullshit meter feel for when someone is writing an article and you know that this guy is just full of bullshit normally. But most people don't even look at who is actually writing the article. So, people don't go, well, I trust IGN's reviews when X reviews games, but not when Y.
Yeah.
It's like, who cares, right? So I actually think this happens far more often in, and again, it's not open bribery because that would be illegal unless disclosed.
It's ads.
It is the sort of
through
ad
ad incentives and stuff like that. Yeah.
And look, it would be for YouTubers exactly the same thing. So here's the cool thing. On YouTube, once an advertiser pays YouTube to run ads, YouTube runs those ads on all channels that are monetized. Yeah. An advertiser cannot step in and say, well, I will only advertise on Rurikon's channel. I refuse to advertise on Akelon's.
Actually, they can't. They can say they can specifically target. I don't want my ads showing in this channel. Google actually allows you to do that.
I don't know if they go that specific.
They do.
On it.
They absolutely.
But it
do.
would.
Yes.
It would be a nightmare because you have thousands of YouTubers.
Yeah, but like
millions
if there's one YouTuber that they don't want to be associated with, I'm not saying that they do this. I'm saying that Google has this ad network that actually has the capabilities of doing that, so they can essentially blacklist.
I'm sure
ads.
they have the capability.
They can blacklist ads on, but I think usually they go for topics. So like maybe you don't want your gambling ads on some places, or you don't want alcohol ads in some places. They do target things, but it's usually more around topics. So, we don't want this thing.
I'm aware of
on gaming.
I'm aware of the ability to target. So I know for a fact you can target the size of YouTubers that you want to advertise on. So the bigger the YouTuber, the more you pay. Yeah. I know that you can do. I know you can do topics. So if someone says, you can even do keywords.
Yeah.
So if someone says specific words in their video, your ad will not show up on that video. So I know that. I'm not entirely sure about the specific creators.
Yeah, you can target specific creators 100%.
I think even there, right, because you just have such a sheer number of ads and companies advertising on YouTube anyways.
But
if a YouTuber were to find out EA refuses to advertise in your video, it's like,
I don't care. Yeah, but
who gives a fuck?
Your point
is
still valid. Like regardless of the fact that they can target it, your point is still valid. Like YouTubers are going to be less affected by ad boycotts, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas the mainstream media,
they're still very vulnerable to that.
It's all targeted ads, right? They get the ad companies in and specifically to advertise on their site.
It's always been a bit of an incestuous relationship with that kind of stuff.
It needs to change. Like if we're not gonna just burn down the mainstream media, if you're going to remove that little pleasure from it, then it needs to completely change.
I mean,
we need to have an iron curtain come up.
I just think that you can have both things exist, and both can benefit from one another. That's the way that I
Here's what I would, I would want it to be, and I realize we're going to need some legislation here, and this isn't a topic we were going to discuss, and you guys might find this boring, but to people that's in the industry, this is kind of stuff that we like talking about. I would like to see an iron curtain system. Through legislation, you have a company that accepts ads from gaming companies, and this company distributes those ads indiscriminately to all mainstream media companies. So the companies don't get to go, no, we refuse to advertise on Eurogamer or whatever. It is like, dude, listen here. Make good games, they'll give you good reviews. If you don't make good games, we're not giving you because you can't pick and choose how you want to do shit.
There's other corruption points that could erupt from that, depending on whether or not
obviously
that would be a government agency, and even if it was a government agency, there's still corruption points, so on and so forth. But yes, I agree. There needs to be a little bit, a little bit of a shakeup in terms of how this incestuous relationship,
the funding works behind this. Yeah. Because it just gets. The media gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and it causes harm. You can see it causes harm. All of these mainstream medias were absolutely sucking the D off of EA and BioWare leading up to Dragon Age the Veilguard, and the game failed completely.
I wouldn't say completely.
Now, before
it still has some player base for sure.
Dude, it's not breaking even. There's no shot. This game has been in development for 10 years. It went through a complete reset.
I think breaking even is going to be rough for that game, yes.
Yeah, not going to break even. So it has failed miserably. It would have had to get so many more hundreds of thousands of players concurrently on Steam to just break even. So I think it's a nightmarish scenario for them. And it could have been avoided if the media was honest. If the media actually gave honest reviews.
like I'm telling you, the thing is, particularly because of what you also have stated, which is like there's a bit of a there's a significant amount of people in media that are all for the types of messaging that Veilguard is throwing out there, and they're biased, which. Again, I don't believe that there's such a thing as an unbiased reviewer. People always try to debate me on this.
You can't be unbiased.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Like Echelon's going to be biased towards orcs. I'm going to be biased towards dwarfs. It's that simple. I'm going to be biased towards Monster Hunter and Dark Souls. This is why I always tell people, like, listen, I am biased. I like these games, and those are my biases. You can take it or you can leave it. I think that's the important thing. People need to make their audience aware of what their biases are, which is the most important thing. But
I agree with
because people are biased, like I said, they are biased towards what Veilguard is and represents, and therefore they are not necessarily lying. That is their honest opinion. I think in a lot of cases. There might be some cases where they are lying, of course. I'm not going to put my hands in the fire for anyone at this point in mainstream media. But the point is like, I still believe there are some of those reviews where those people are being honest.
Yeah, but you even have to ask yourself, how are they still working there? Because Suicide Squad, they praised the shit out of Suicide Squad.
Did they?
It failed miserably. Yeah, they were all going about how this game pushes the boundaries forward, and it's just a bunch of toxic white males that don't like this game. There's nothing wrong with the game. Now, I do think there were a couple of articles that I read where they at least pointed out there were some issues.
Wait a minute. Suicide Squad, IGN gave it a 5.
Yeah, but that's just IGN.
IGN gave it a 5 out of 10. Eurogamer gave it a 3 out of 5. PC Gamer gave it a 67.
3 out of 5 is 7 out of 10.
Whatever. What do you want to do? 2 out of 5? The game runs. It's like... once you start getting into the 2s and 1s, the game doesn't run.
Just game runs. Like you got 7 out of 10 isn't just game runs.
But listen, 3 out of 5, 67 out of 100, 2.5 out of 5. Like the critics' average was 59. You can't tell me they glazed the Justice League.
Dude, okay, so 5 out of 10 is what?
5 out of 10?
Right? 5 out of 10 is average.
It's average.
That game is an average.
Okay, that's fine, but it's like...
That game is not even close to average. The point is, even there, you have to start looking and saying, okay, you guys gave this game an average.
But wait a second.
How could you...
You have to get to a point where it's like, if you go below a 5... I'm looking at a game, at least in my head, I'm looking at a game, okay, so this game crashes like every 30 minutes or something like that, if you're going below a 5. Because like, when you're going below a 5, in my opinion, you're looking at like technical problems in the game.
No, I would say when you go below a 5, you're looking at a game that, let's quickly do Steam charts. What did Suicide Squad?
I mean, but is it a popularity contest? Because I also don't know if that's the way that things should work. But see, this is why I don't do this fucking ratings of video games, because I think it's just so meaningless to boil down a game to a number. So it's like you boil it down to a 5 out of 10 and you said it yourself, well, that's an average game. It's like, exactly. You can't boil a game down to a number.
So here's the thing, right? You give it a 5 out of 10. The game, as a live service game, Suicide Squad, by the way, is a fairly popular franchise. It has a lot of popularity behind it. It gets an all-time peak of 13,000 players. It barely holds on to it. And now, just a few months later, it's at an all-time peak. It's at a 24-hour peak of 169, right? Yeah. So the game has failed miserably. This is not an average game. This is a far below average game. If I'm the media, let me ask you this.
You can't predict that.
No, it doesn't matter. Because when I watched the YouTuber reviews of this game, and I'm not just talking about YouTubers who are always negative about everything. I'm talking about the average YouTuber review. They were criticizing everything about this game. The combat feels incredibly sluggish, boring, same thing over and over and over again. The dialogue is incredibly bad. The storyline is incredibly bad. The writing is incredibly bad. They were literally slagging this game off, all of the YouTubers, right? So you have this thing where the YouTubers are telling you this is a really shit game.
Jesus.
The media keeps telling you.
Just real quick, I looked up the Skill Up review just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
The title is, I absolutely do not recommend. It's like, Skill Up is usually very middle of the road. He's got like good analysis. And so when he says, I absolutely do not recommend, he slammed it. Because like with Suicide Squad, I've been out of the loop because the moment I saw the gameplay, I was like, I don't want to play this. I don't want to play this.
But you see, this is my point is, if you're an executive, right? So let's say you're the CEO of Kotaku, and time again, your journalist that's supposed to run the reviews give games 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 5 out of 10 for games that all of the YouTubers say absolute dog shit. At some point, you go, I don't think you should work here. Because it seems like time and time again, you rate games really good, but they fail completely. And then the games that you rate just as good succeed. And it's like, well, I don't think you know what the fuck you're doing. It's as simple as that. The YouTubers call it every single time. They say this is a bad game, the game fails every single time. You don't seem to know what is a good game or what is a bad game. So clearly we have a problem. You need to leave. The fact that these people are still employed in any way, shape, or form is absolutely ridiculous. And it continues to happen all across the industry. So this industry truly is sick. At least the mainstream media needs to either have a phenomenal change in leadership as well as just in journalists that get to work there, or it needs to close down. And something new. And I don't think, because you already have it, right? You have people like Bounding Into Comics that's popped up in very recent years. You have That Park Place that's popped up. Niche Gamer has popped up. And these are actually mainstream media organizations. They still do print media, but they're trying to be a counter voice to the corrupt mainstream media that we have now. And I think that's what we need. We need places like Kotaku, IGN, and those guys to fail, because there's never going to not be print media. There's always going to be. Niche Gamer does investigative journalism. They break stories. But this current system seems corrupt. It seems broken because it doesn't seem to know how to predict when a game is going to be good or not.
It's like,
it seems to just hand it out like candy.
The issue that I have with this is that your position is almost like one of deplatforming, where you're just like, I don't want these people to have a platform. Fuck them, go away. And I am very much against that. I'm like, listen, you got something to say. I want to hear what you have to say. Or maybe I don't want to hear it's like, I don't care what you are saying, but I will fight for your right to say it. That's kind of like where I'm at.
There's a difference. There's a difference. My argument is not that someone steps in and burns down their buildings.
That's
exactly what you stop them from operating. I want them to burn down because they're burning themselves down. So all I want is for gamers to stop reading their nonsense because they'll close down by themselves.
No, but it's like...
And I think it is happening.
The thing is that when you take an extreme position like that, I just feel that you're like, I'm right, they're wrong, and they should listen to me and not them. And I don't agree with that.
But if we agree, why are we arguing about this?
No, but I just said I don't agree. What do you mean? I just said I don't agree with that position.
But you just said, I'm right, they're wrong. I said, get rid of them. I agree.
I said what your position is. I didn't say I agree with it. No, I don't agree with that at all. I don't like putting anyone in a position where it's like, they're always right, they're always correct, and that it's like, no, we can be wrong. Like I can say something that's wrong. I don't know. And just like Kotaku can say shit that's wrong. I mean, they do it all the time.
But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. When a YouTuber gets it wrong, there's usually severe punishment as a result. Your audience drags you.
Yeah, 100%.
You either lose a bunch of subscribers and viewers for that matter, or they drag the shit out of it.
So what you're saying is that we're held to a higher standard than traditional media.
Well, I think we're held to a real standard. we're held to a standard because there's that iron curtain with those with those journalists. They don't deal with the real implications of when they get stuff wrong. So they don't give a shit about just putting out these propaganda pieces for gaming, for games companies that don't deserve to be propagandized. So I personally, I would never be okay with the government stepping in and closing the mainstream media down. There, I agree with you. That is deplatforming. But if they die slowly and painfully as a result of their own inflicted wounds, I will not help.
That's up to them. I'm just saying, like I said, I think that there's a room for both sides to grow and flourish, but I'm also not a big fan of them just like constantly shitting all over YouTubers by generalizing one bad YouTuber or something like that. And they're just like, yep, fuck them all. And it's like, no, that's not right. What the fuck? I'm not sitting over here generalizing, saying that I want everybody in the mainstream media to burn, but I will criticize individual writers whenever I'm like, okay, look, this is fucked up. Like for instance, I criticized Mercante whenever she did her Shadow of the Earth review, and it's like, you can't even get the fucking tree right. Like, you know, what the fuck do you know about this game?